Um, nice festivities out there on the field, and it was a fun time.
It absolutely was. I think the parade got a lot bigger than last year, and a lot of people came to the community pep rally, which is always nice, and it was good to see all the high school programs on the field at the same time.
Yeah, and it's exciting to see all the athletes out there. They, talked about all the groups. They introduced all the groups, and they had the floats, and it's a great week
Yep.
with homecoming up this week with Glenn, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But for these seniors, what does that mean to them? Homecoming, final season. Do you talk to them at all about that?
They talk a lot amongst themselves about what it means to be a senior and the expectations that they have for that senior class. That's kind of how you look at the program is with that senior group. And so we have a great bunch of seniors in our program, guys that have been with me the whole time, and it's really pretty cool to see them how they performed this season so far. So really excited about that group, all of our groups, but those seniors are awesome.
Yeah. And we've seen a change. I think the leadership, it started a couple years ago, and these seniors now have kind of grown in. They've learned the system, they know the system. They're now teaching the system to the freshmen, sophomore, juniors. And I think we just see the difference out there on the field.
Sure, absolutely. They're great leaders, not just on the field, but off the field. They're doing a really good job in the classroom and those things. So it's a great bunch of kids.
Well, good.
Yeah,
So let's talk about last week. Ran into a tough team.
sure.
College Station traveled down there. The final score was 38-10. And it was a tight game that first half, but one play kind of broke it open right near the end of the half.
Yeah,
The quarterback, ran down, got down to the one. Arnold made a great job keeping him out of the end zone, but that seemed to take a little bit of air out of the Lions. Come out second half, offense went 3 and out. They scored again, kind of changed the momentum of the
yeah,
game. Those 3 or 4 minutes there. So talk about that.
yeah. I think defensively, we got off to a really good start. Defensively, obviously a very talented team. What they can do in the run game and the pass game, and we were able to put pressure on them early in both phases, and that helped us out quite a bit. We had to play on some short fields, which I was excited to see us kind of step up and
Definitely,
stop.
definitely.
Uh, and so, you know, offensively, we had some things that were working. We had some opportunities, and it's just the 1 inch here or there that we missed some things. And the kids kept fighting to have that game at 10-3 at halftime was big for us, and we had a good talk at halftime about what it needs to take to keep ourselves in the game. And you're right about the big play at the end. It was a misstep here or there. Jaden Arnold did do an amazing job of tracking that guy down. He can really run. Shows you how fast Jaden Arnold actually
The
is.
quarterback's
And
fast, big
yeah,
fast quarterback.
yeah. So just really proud of the effort overall by everybody.
So what was the talk at halftime? Big play, and you're kind of frustrated. You'd never want to see that happen. They jump up and get a touchdown. What's the talk at halftime?
Honestly, I didn't see the frustration that we maybe would have seen in the past. They were ready to, go out and start the second half. I think if they would have had the choice, would have just kept playing and got it done. So, the attitude about them in halftime, they've been really good with halftime adjustments this year, period. And so they maintained and still were receptive to all the adjustments. And I didn't see anything where they were dropping their head, which is a good indicator for us that we want to go out and keep fighting. And in those close games, it makes it a lot easier to stay engaged and stay in that fight.
So going into practice yesterday, obviously it was a difficult day with the parade and everything, but you talk to the team, you watch the film, and you always learn something from a game like this. The players learn something about themselves, about the team, and it's something they can build on.
Sure.
And you're going to go through these ups and downs throughout a season, no matter how good or how bad the team is.
Sure.
You're going to have ups and downs, and you seem to learn more from mistakes, more from a loss than you do from blowing someone out 50-0.
Sure. Yeah, I think for us this week, it was a lot of get back to week one a little bit, where some of the things that we had done in week one, week two, and three were a little bit crisper in practice yesterday, and maybe weren't as crisp in the game. So I don't know that there were any major catastrophic mistakes in terms of people just busting a scheme or that thing or those things. But I think it was just a matter of sharpening the things that we had kind of done early in the season. When you play a good team, you have to be really crisp in everything that you do. And we weren't always that, but they refocused. We had a good day of practice yesterday, a good day today, and so we're ready to roll this week.
You got to have a short memory, especially if you're going against what everyone put in the top five in the state.
Yeah,
That's a good team, and we'll see some other good teams down the road. But you saw the fight in the Lions,
sure.
and that's what you like to see. You didn't see them hanging their heads on the sideline. You didn't see them walking off. You didn't see them, quitting at the end.
Yeah,
And that's a great sign, even though the game was out of reach at the end. But
sure.
hey, they drove down and got a touchdown.
Yeah,
And that's a great sign to build on for this week, for next week, because it's a long season.
absolutely.
Although when we see it and you see it's a short season,
Yeah,
but it is a long season when you're out there day after day.
it is.
So what kind of positives did you get from watching film of Friday's game?
Yeah, the positives were, the big one obviously is just not hanging your head and quitting
Right.
and giving up on the situation. Offensively, I think that there were some things that we were able to do down the field, throwing the ball down the field a little bit later in the game that are very positive. I think, you get hesitant to throw the fade ball, and we
Mhm.
were able to throw the ball down the field a little bit. That's very much positive for us. I think our offensive line did a really good job in pass protection versus pretty good front. And then, defensively, we were able to compete with the athleticism. I think,
Yeah,
look out.
that was the most impressive part of the first half for me was
Yes.
the defensive performance.
Yeah. They did a really good job. They had some things that we knew could be a problem for us, and the kids handled it well. I was really impressed with those guys.
Well, and that was a very athletic defense. They ran a three-man front, but those three men up front required, a couple of
Sure.
extra blockers on every given
Sure.
play. So,
Sure. Yeah. They were athletic, and, they were bringing the gas, and our offensive line did a good job picking them up when we were trying to get the ball downfield.
well, and I think ultimately it's positive that the Lions weren't intimidated
Right.
by the situation, by the stadium, by the atmosphere,
Yeah.
by the big team, the ranking, none of that.
Yep. So they did a good job. And I think it prepared us for the remainder of this district season. We're going to play
There's a lot of tough teams
a
in this
lot of
district
tough teams, and
starting this week.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so let's talk about this week. Glenn is coming up. Tell us about Glenn. Let's start with their offense. What are they? What are their strengths?
Yeah, offensively, the biggest strength is their offensive scheme. It's something that we don't see every week, so it takes a lot to kind of prepare for that scheme. We keep Marble Falls on our scrimmage schedule because we know
Because
we're
of
going to
that.
play Glenn. It at
Mhm.
least gives us another opportunity to practice against it. I want to shout out our sub varsity players who a lot of times run our scout teams for us. We
Mhm.
put together a group of those sub varsity kids, and we taught them the Glen offense. And I mean, for the last 2 days, they've come out and really executed for us. And when you're playing against this offense, having a good look Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is really, really important because by the time you get to Friday, if you hadn't seen it, it's too late. And
And
so,
yeah, and that's tough because not only is it tough to simulate that,
yeah,
but you can't learn from it first quarter, second, third quarter. It's too late at
it's
that
too late.
point.
Yeah, yeah. And our coaching staff has done a really good job. We have a couple of guys trying to be quarterback in that system, which is not always good. So, I really, want to shout out those sub varsity guys that are helping us out with that. And then, defensively, you try to keep it as simple as you can for your kids because the scheme itself is already complicated enough. And our kids are just understanding that athleticism and run to the ball is going to be a big key for us to be successful.
Well, it's nice to have young coaches that can run the offense, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is. There's a couple of us too old to do it.
Now, how much can you get from film, or can the players really get from film of a team offense like Glenn?
Yeah, I think you get some of the feel of the game, kind of when they like to run certain plays. What did they use to kind of set up some things later on in the game? There's so many guys kind of crammed in the box. It's sometimes hard to figure out who pulled where and that kind of thing. So you're just kind of looking for the feeling of the game, make sure the personnel is right. They have the same guys week in and week out. And then looking for those opportunities where they're going to try to make the big plays. Even with that offense, the threat of the pass is
Still
it's
there,
there,
Yeah.
right?
and a lot of times, even if it's only 3 times in a game, one of those is a big play, and so you
Well,
know,
they set it up. If you're only going to throw 3 times in a game,
yeah,
you're really setting that up.
yeah. And so those are some of the things that the kids can pull away from film. And I know our kids have done a good job with that this year.
Let's talk about their defense.
Yeah, very aggressive on defense. They're an odd front as well, and so some of the concepts that we saw last week, we'll see them again in terms of those outside linebackers and how,
Fast linebacker.
yeah, fast outside linebackers, how involved they are in the pass rush and what they try to get done with those additional two guys. Their inside linebackers very solid, do a good job of reading keys and getting to the ball. They're always very well coached defensively, and they always work really, really hard.
Well, good. Well, we're looking forward to the game on Friday. It's homecoming. What's the toughest part of keeping them focused on the game rather than after game, homecoming, dance, going out, friends? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think it's something that you have to talk to them about a little bit. Again, this group has been really pretty good for all the stuff that we had going on yesterday with the parade and the pep rally. The practice part of it, you didn't see any of the, lag or disengagement from the kids. They weren't thinking about anything else. And, you kind of take it day by day and give them those reminders. And, we know it's a big deal. We want it to be a big deal for them. It's going to be something that they remember for the rest of their lives. So, it's not something that we're trying to ignore. We just want to make sure that in that moment where we have them, that they're engaged in what we're doing, and then we want them to have a good time and be successful on Friday and enjoy the rest of the festivities.
Well, you mentioned the difficulty of preparing for an offense like Glenn, and then you throw that into homecoming week, which, there are all kinds of external activities that aren't central to preparing for Glenn.
Sure.
How do you deal with that?
Well, yeah, it's just a matter of the coaching staff, making sure that we're prepared and we use our time efficiently in practice. And when we're meeting with those guys, we want to make sure that they're getting the most out of every conversation and interaction we have with them, whether it's in practice or in a meeting. And you know, reminding them of the importance of what we're doing every day. And, it's easier than it has been probably a number of
Mhm.
years because I think Glenn is a good opponent for homecoming for us because there's already something there. They really want to be successful with
So,
this crowd.
so talk about the kind of the crosstown rivalry aspect of this, and it being a homecoming game. I mean, if I'm an opponent of Leander, crosstown rival, it's a big opportunity for Glenn.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our kids know a lot of the Glenn kids.
Right.
We
We
have,
grew up playing
yeah,
against
they
each other in
playing against
every
each
sport.
other, and some of them, may have played with Glenn kids because we have
Mhm.
LMS that we share with
Mhm.
Glenn, and so there's a lot of relationships that are, intertwined there, and so the talk from both sides goes both ways. Everybody's excited for the game, and for our kids, I think it means a little bit more. I think we haven't been in a position like this in a while, and they talked about their goals.
Control of your own destiny.
Yeah, I talked about the goals at the beginning of the year, and there's some things they really want to accomplish this year, and they know a lot of it starts on Friday.
Well, I think it's one thing at the, last 3 or 4 games of district play to be thinking, if so and so beats so and we win, then we're in position for this spot or that spot.
Sure.
But you're still in a position right now to control your own destiny and attain the spot that you want.
Absolutely, and I think the kids are fully aware of that, and I think that's why they place so much value on the practice the last 2 days, and kind of in their mindset going into this game, they know that if you want a shot to get into the playoffs, it's a series of 1 game seasons,
Right.
and this season is
Go
on
one and
Friday
zero
night.
every Friday night.
So yeah, they understand that.
Well, crisp practice, quality practice, that's indicative or it tends to result in good performances on Friday nights. So do you feel pretty confident about your crew going into Friday?
Yeah, after the first 2 days, I feel good about it. We'll evaluate again tomorrow, and Thursday you're still cleaning things
It's a
up.
series of small battles.
Yeah, and so you kind of take it day by day and evaluate and watch the practice film and see the things that you need to improve on, the things you need to maybe cut out of the game plan that they're not quite ready for it yet or whatever. And, you know, keep evaluating until you get exactly what the kids are comfortable with and what you want to see from them on Friday night.
Excellent.
Well, we're looking forward to the game. Obviously, we have a lot of friends, families
Sure.
that know each other as well. So we know the kids are excited. We're excited. It's going to be homecoming, going to be a big crowd, and hoping for a big win on Friday.
Absolutely, we all are. Thank you,
Thank you.
guys. Appreciate it. Good to see y'all. Too, Coach. Yeah.
So before we get to the next coach, let's go through our gold sponsors. Leander Athletic Club, Blue Bottom Pools, Quality Moving and Storage, and our silver sponsors, ATX Appraisal, BB Shines Car Wash, Chelf Electrical Services, JT Reisdorf, State Farm Insurance Agent, and Randall's on Lakeline, right around the corner. Once again, we are here at Guaco Taco, and we want to thank everybody here. Having a great time, great food. So we have a couple coaches coming up. I think the first one looks like he's done with his meal. Coach Bielefeld, Coach Beef, come on up.
You can stress that headset out if you need.
Yeah. Well, look. Oh, wow. That's
Yeah, let me get your volume down. Let me you project a little more than Coach does.
How you doing?
good. Yourself?
Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.
You've been up here before. We've talked to you, but hey, let's start again for those that are new, for some of the families, people that are watching this for the first time to see you. Tell us about yourself. Where'd you grow up? Tell us about your football coaching all the way up to now. Give us a little background.
Yeah, talk
Yeah.
about your military service.
Yeah. So a little bit. So I'm actually from San Antonio. Grew up there. Played ball at John Marshall in San Antonio. Played a little ball in college. Not much. When TLU started their program back up in '98. From there, went into the Marine Corps. Did 4.5 years and got out. Teaching is a second career. I'm actually at one point was a certified financial planner, and so I did finance for 6 years, and that was unfulfilling. Got into teaching, and I was welding gates and whatnot. And I was at Kelly Air Force Base putting in a gate and whatnot. Got a phone call from head coach at Thrall, Texas, and they knew I had my master's and whatnot. And so alternative certification, ended up at Thrall, did 3 years 2A football, and made the big old jump to 6A at that point.
You love
That was a big jump.
Yeah, that was a big jump there. So been at Leander ever since and loving life.
Well, that's great. So tell us about last night. I know the kids are there, they're on the float. Everyone does the thing, the festivities. Were you involved in any of that at all?
Oh yeah, I'm usually we thought we were gonna have kind of a cool night and whatnot. So it was nice. Parents brought out some things for the coach to ride into, but sure enough, about halfway through, look up and we got candy flying at excessive rates of speed. So
it's the baseball float.
it's the baseball float, baseball float that was doing it. So jumped out the Polaris and ran up there and the old Coach B stuff.
There you go. That's good.
Take control.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So defensive line and strength and conditioning.
Yeah. So
Let's talk about the strength and conditioning. Talk about off season this summer. Give a little background on what you do in the off season.
Before you do that, Coach, give your social media handles, because following you on social media, you can get a lot of this strength and conditioning, and it's not just football that you're dealing with a lot.
No, I do a little bit of everything. So, one of the biggest things when I took over after Coach Ramsey left is that just building a well-rounded athlete. Not so much we're not looking for one thing. We just want the best athlete we can put out on the field. So, my big thing is that the football coaches are in charge of making football players. My job is in charge of making athletes.
There you go.
And so we're trying to give them a very well-rounded program. Tell the kids we're not weightlifters, we're not bodybuilders, we're not powerlifters, but we're going to use a little bit of everything, trying to make you the best athlete on the football field for the coaches and the football team. So off season went really well. I know I kind of not your usual meathead in the weight room. I want them moving well and moving strong, moving fast. And so it's actually kind of paid off. And, when you hear the coaches say that, hey, we're moving a little faster than I thought we would,
Mhm.
and we kind of sit back going, yeah, we're working on, game speed. And I'll talk about game speed with the guys. That's we're not looking for track speed. We're looking for how fast you can move on the field.
Right. And you've been doing this a couple summers here with the boys, and there's one thing when they feel they have to go through it.
Correct.
There's some other ones that are completely engaged and buy in.
Yes, sir.
How are the guys over the summer?
Everybody does a really good job of utilizing whenever they wake up and land, they're there with us. And so I've always told them, like, hey, take what you have here, and if you need to go work on skill work, go work on skill work. But I know Coach Price is big on if you wake up in Leander, get here with us, and we'll figure out the details after that bit. And so, you know, June's kind of the month. I always say, if you're going to take a vacation, take it in June. We need you here in July.
Right.
And so, because really need that build up into the football season without a break.
I mean, what's the alternative? They're just going to sit around on the couch and eat food. It's probably too many carbs, right?
Well, some of the guys need to eat a little more food. We can put some more meat on them. So,
No, but we've seen a difference just in the strength, the attitude, the aggressiveness of the team, and that starts early in the summer.
it does.
You can't start that in August.
No.
You've got to build that up, and we've seen a big difference with the boys here.
Well, and it doesn't even happen in 1 year.
Nope.
You've been here, what, 4? You said earlier.
Yeah, 4 years.
4 years.
This is my 5th year. And so
It takes a while to build a program that really didn't exist before.
it does, because I think one of the things we're talking about is at one of our professional developments is the fact that a lot of the seniors that graduated 2 years ago had a different set of coaches every single year.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
That's tough.
my wife will tell me that I'm loyal to a fault, but I'm like, look, the kids need consistency in their life. If they can't trust that the coaches are going to be there for them year in, year out. I mean, don't get me wrong. They understand that when we have an opportunity that we're still looking at promoting ourselves. Right. At the same time, you still want to try and give them as much consistency as possible. And it's like, hey, okay, I can trust this guy. He's not going anywhere.
Well, and you strike me as somebody who's honing their skills, and
Yeah.
you think you could do that here.
I do.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think there's big opportunity here, not just with the football program. I know I'm trying to put myself in a position to take over all programs.
Right.
So if it's one of those things I'd like to be able to see, is that we actually have a strength conditioning coordinator at Leander High School. And it's not just for one program, it's over working with all head coaches and working with all programs.
So, are you thinking about powerlifting as a team?
It's been brought up, and I will leave that to the powers that be.
Right. It's not in your decision
It is
making
not
realm.
my decision process. No, it's not. And so, yeah, it has been thrown around for several years, and just for whatever reason, I usually tell people that if you have a really good wrestling program, you're really not going to have a powerlifting program, because you're going to pull from the same pool.
Well, there's an excellent
so-
wrestling program
Yeah,
here.
there's a very excellent wrestling program here, and so I would not want to take anything away from Coach McLean
Right.
and everything he's done there. And I think with what we're trying to do, they service each other well. So we'll get the leveraging side with the wrestling, and we'll still take care of them in the off season, and
the strength part of
the
it.
strength part of it.
Yeah, wrestling really makes a big difference on the offensive and defensive lines in
Yes.
football.
Yeah.
I mean, you learn so much about leverage and balance, and when your opponent is in a position that it only takes a little shove to knock them to the ground.
Correct. Yeah, you need to be able to feel that pressure. If you can't feel that pressure, you don't know how to make an adjustment.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and we've also talked about just family friends. If you see the track team or the basketball team, and they're just their conditioning
Yeah.
versus maybe the football team with their strength, or the wrestling team with what they do.
Yes, sir.
If you can incorporate and kind of cross train those things and take a little bit from each,
Yeah.
and I think that's what you're talking about. Let's have athletes on the field.
Correct. Yeah. Let the sport coach take care of the sport, and then we just need to develop an athlete, so that way, we get to a point where maybe one of our good contributors on the football team plays basketball,
Mm-hmm.
or one of our good contributors on the basketball team comes from the football team. But that was the beauty about starting at a 2A school, is everybody played everything.
Right. Yeah. They had to.
Yeah, I mean, we had to, but it was one of those ones where coaches learned to work with coaches. And so I remember going from football to where, you had football players go straight to basketball, and then those basketball teams would make deep runs. And so you would put all your district games later, and then they would come in. You wouldn't start district baseball until basketball championships were done.
Right.
And so it just kind of, you knew you were going to be successful, was because everybody bought into just being the best athlete for the school.
Well, and Coach, you're very intellectual. I've noticed like I mentioned, your social media posts. You read this book, or you're looking at this method of conditioning.
Yes, sir.
What would you say is your favorite, or would you say you just kind of have your own, or do you look at depending on the athlete kind of thing?
I mean, everybody's giving me a little bit different. I think if I had a go-to as far as where I start with, I mean, powerlifting is where I cut my teeth. And so, definitely,
That's what I like.
Jim Windler was the, big 531 guy. Of course, Louis Simmons, who just passed away this past year, Westside Barbell. He was just huge in the whole strength and conditioning world. But there's so many other big names out there to where, I mean, I just got Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding just
See,
to
what I'm talking about?
broaden out broaden out the research, whether it's where we going as a kettlebell training or whatnot. So we want to be able to provide the most efficient way possible to get the kids what they need to get.
I love that.
Let's talk about the defensive line. What do you teach these kids? What do you encourage them to do? I mean, obviously, we don't want to get into specifics here of techniques and things, but go through your normal practice during the week when you're working with these D line guys.
The biggest thing for us, I think I tell them is like we always it starts with, I don't know why I'm sputtering so much today. It starts on the defensive line. If we're not doing our job, then it just makes everybody else's job worse.
Right.
And so sometimes that's not the sexiest thing in the world because you tell the kids, like, I don't expect you to have lots of tackles. I don't expect you to have.
Right.
I was like, if we're doing our job, then the linebackers are going to look like studs.
Right.
Because we keep
their
that
job
clean.
to eat block.
They're
Just
yeah.
chew them up.
So, and we've done a really good job of that this year. It starts with our get off. Our hands have gotten a lot better in the past, from in the past, and so I've been pleasantly surprised with where we're at and the production we've got done. I think in the first two games we had more sacks in the first two games than we did all of last year.
Yeah.
We just seen a lot more pressure coming up front
And
through the line. Getting around the ends, everything. They've seemed to do a really really good job of getting upfield.
Yes, sir. So yeah, we've been that's been not a surprise. I kind of expected. I was hoping for it. And we see in Vasquez and Cedillo, and all those guys have really kind of stepped up and answered. And we've had Charlie Allender come in from another district, and he's been a surprise and just in depth and rotation as far as actually getting some fresh legs and fresh arms.
How nice is it to have guys you can rotate in and not be as concerned about a big play at the middle?
Yeah, it really is. It's nice to be able to have a 3-man rotate, 3 to 4-man rotation on the edges and a 2-3-man rotation in the middle. Because in the past it's been a 4-man rotation across all three positions.
Well, in the D line, it's an area where there can be injured.
Correct.
Because of just all of the
trenches, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we've been pretty healthy this year, right?
We've been very blessed, and like you kind of walk away from stuff. I mean, got your normal dings and bangs and bruises and stuff like that. But
that's part of doing business.
Part of doing business down there. A lot of people talk about wanting to go have fun down there until stuff actually starts happening.
So let's talk about Glenn. Obviously, we're not going to get into technique of what your scheme is, but talk about their offensive line. Their formation, the types of plays they like to run.
Yeah, so I mean, when you look at it, they love to run the ball, and they're suited for it, and they're big and quick up front. And if you don't match their physicality right out the gate, it's gonna be a long, long night for you. And so that's kind of been a big thing for us this week is we're getting prepared for them. It is just really getting off the ball and taking the fight to them. And so like y'all talked about earlier, kids know each other. They played against each other for a while or played with each other, and now they're rivals. And so the other part of it is really tempering those emotions.
Right. You got to play at a level.
You got to play at a level, and so that was one of
even keel. You can't be too high, too low.
It's been nice. We're here talking about Friday night, but we got a younger crew coming up that they're really talking about getting amped up and talking to them. I was like, look, y'all need to calm down a little bit because even against College Station, they're like, we got to go play angry. It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with being angry, but as soon as you flip that line and switch and you just go to chaotic,
right,
then you're no good to the team. And you just
that's part of the maturation process of finding yourself on the varsity, right?
It is correct. Yeah, you're not ready for Friday nights if that's what you want.
Well, no, appreciate you coming up.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And looking forward to it. Good luck on Friday.
Well,
good.
Thank you. Sir. I'll take care.
So let's give a shout out to the Lion Nation sponsors, Austin Telco Federal Credit Union, Cole Drummett Edward Jones, Golden Chick, Hella Sports Construction, Pendleton Orthodontics, River City Construction and Design, Smoky Moe's, Texas Barbecue, Texas Disposal Systems, and Bahama Bucks. We Wouldn't be able to do this without them. Thanks, Coach Beef. And next up, the next coach, Coach Brady Spencer. Let's bring him up. Good to see you. How are you?
So, Coach, get that mic a little close. There you go.
All right, y'all can hear me?
Yeah. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Good. Good. So, you have anything special go on last night with the homecoming? Were you in charge of anything, or just trying to corral all the
Uh,
kids?
I was part of the group that helped get uh the inflatable up, and then I hopped on the back of a trailer and had to temper some cannons that were coming off of
For the candy throwing.
yeah, and then I had to temper some cannons that were coming back.
Yeah, that's always
Uh,
part of it. But yeah, it's always a fun time, and it's
yeah,
great seeing the kids out there, and they seem to enjoy it and have a good time.
someone did realize these kids are this big and they can't track it like y'all can. You're
Right.
easy.
Yeah, exactly. And talk about kids. I mean, you coached some of these guys when they were a little over at Running Brushy,
Yeah,
and now you've come all the way up here. So I mean, you've seen these kids grow up,
yeah. It's
and you've seen them mature. You've seen them become young men,
mhm,
and you've been one of their mentors to help them guide them through a lot of their adolescence and
sure.
things like that. So talk about just the difference you've seen from middle school up until now with these guys.
Um, well, I mean, the maturity, and that's like natural progression, right? But just seeing how they like handle things when they were in seventh grade versus how they handle things now in seventh grade. Some of them were liable just to shut down, and now they're like, oh, okay, they just roll with it, which is kind of part of life. So sometimes you just got to roll with it.
Yeah. I mean, once something bad happens, it's happened. You
Yeah,
just have to deal with it, right?
yeah. I
So,
mean, in seventh grade, you rip one of their butts, and they get upset, and,
right.
and now you yell at them, and they're like, okay,
Well, I always tell kids that are concerned with a coach, yelling at them
mhm,
is they wouldn't yell at you if they wouldn't waste their time on you if they
sure,
didn't think it was going to help,
right,
and teach you. So, I think that's really important for young men to understand.
mhm,
You get in life, you're going to get yelled at. That I mean,
absolutely, yeah.
it may not even be warranted half the time, but
Mhm.
get married, you'll find it.
So tell the new people that have listened where you're from. I mean,
Um,
I've known you for years, so tell the people that are listening, watching the
so
podcast, where you went to school, where you grew up, and how you came into coaching.
so I grew up here. I graduated from Rouse. I was first class to graduate from there, and then I went on to Mary Hardin Baylor, played football there 4 years, and the plan for me was always to be around sports in some capacity. I dabbled in PT for a little bit and decided that was way more than I needed to do,
Hmm.
and I was like, I'll coach, and
It's
it
hard
was a wrap
when
after
you
that.
love a sport like football. It's hard
Yeah,
to go away from it.
yeah. I mean, my dad was one of my coaches when I was little in basketball, and I was never not around sports. So I don't ever want to not be around sports. So
Yeah, I feel that way too.
yeah.
I mean, that's part of the reason that I do broadcasting work
Mhm.
or do PA work. It's because I want to be. I like to watch high school football,
Yeah.
and obviously, kids came through the school, so
Mhm.
why not?
It's
Why
ju-
not
and it's
be
just
the
cool, like growing up in this area and like watching the area grow up. I mean, when I was in high
It's
school, Glenn,
insane
like
when it
Glenn
was
didn't
like,
exist,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
like certain like Styles barely existed. I don't even remember if Styles might have been like had came around my senior year, and like Danielson wasn't a thing. Like it's just cool seeing it grow up.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing Leander like when Leander was like the school. You know what
right.
I mean? Like and like Leander like Cedar
I
Point.
played against
Yeah,
Leander. And it goes way back before me.
yeah.
So
So it's just cool like seeing it grow.
Yeah, now it's heading, even further out and
Mhm.
further out and further out and adding high school after high school. But it's great, seeing these kids. I mean, they're not really pulling from the Leander area really anymore. Now that
Sure.
Glenn's in, Rouse kind of pulled. Now we're gonna have a new one that'll pull from them.
Hmm.
And you always see changes. But it's just something that I think we're gonna get kind of more of an area. Now they may change the boundaries now and then,
Sure.
but like you said, everything's grown up around here. It may add a little bit over here, Treviso, or something like that. But
Right.
seem to be kind of consolidated now.
Hmm.
Um, and we've seen the kids that are going into the middle schools that are be coming up to high school. So it's just kind of a community here,
Right.
which is great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about
I want to talk about the receiver.
the receivers. That's what I'm getting to right now.
You got a big crew of good receivers.
Yeah. At the beginning of the year, we asked them, me and Coach Hall, we asked what kind of group did you want to be, and it was pretty unanimous that they wanted to kind of be the group, be the guys. And I mean, I'm a big believer in next to linemen, we have the next most humans on the field. Where
Correct.
we have a pretty direct influence on how things go, and they said they wanted to be a big and like physical group, and this group has been one of the more physical groups of receivers that I've ever been around, and just across the board willing to do the selfless things as going and blocking and taking.
Well, I was going to say, linemen, the biggest group of blockers,
Mhm.
receivers, the second biggest group
Yeah.
of blockers. So,
So, and they buy into that. They're eager to do it, and they understand like, no block, no rock. So there you go.
do they get excited when they see a good block on the edge from one of their
Oh yeah,
teammates on
and
film
and
or
they
during the game?
it's almost become a competition between them. Like they'll see somebody go get a pancake, and then the next one they're trying to get one, or they're trying to get two more. Like so, I can like, oh, I got more than you did, or it's been fun.
I think I get more excited about seeing a great downfield block
Mhm.
to get that running back or the receiver
the
or
edge,
whatever
yeah.
into the end zone than just someone running down the field. I
Right.
mean, that key block, that may be the difference in a
Mhm.
ball game.
Well, and it sets the tone. Also, I think when you have receivers that are willing to go throw their bodies in there and hit people, sometimes defenses they don't expect receivers to do those kind
Yeah,
of things,
they
and then you
probably
come
don't
in and
run
get
across it all the
and you
time.
come in and get popped by one, and you start rethinking things.
So is it pretty physical in practice?
We try to be as much as we can
Yeah.
without getting people hurt and things like that. But um, usually every day when we get the chance, we're doing some kind of blocking drill when we get the chance to.
And
Yep.
you also have different types of receivers
Mhm.
on the team, and we've seen a lot of different players out there. Um, they're not selfish.
Right.
We see them in different spots, but you have some with speed, with hands, run good routes,
Mhm.
bigger, smaller. Talk
Right.
about the different types of players you have.
Like we've got guys that can go up over you and catch the ball. We got guys that'll run by you. We got guys that do the dirty work over the middle where you're going to get hit and it's not fun, but someone's got to do it. And the entire group is pretty selfless about going and doing it. And we're just like, hey, you got to go do this. They don't ask questions. They just go do it. Which is nice. It makes you feel comfortable as a coach when you can just say, hey, even like we know you play outside a lot, go inside and do this. And they're like, okay. And
Well,
it's easy.
in past years, a lot of the line offenses have had to rely on one main wideout
Mhm.
as the primary passing target.
Right.
But this year, you've been able to spread it around and rotate guys in and out. And really, I don't see a huge difference between 1 and 6.
Sure. I mean, we tell them that you have to stay ready at any moment because you never know when the ball's coming your way. What's nice about this group is we have any one of the nine that we have can catch it and go. Which, as a with Coach Bailey calling plays, it gives you a little bit more, lets you breathe a little bit because you can okay, I can okay, they're going to take away number one. That's fine. We'll go to the third or fourth guy, and he's just as liable to go off on you, which is nice.
Yep. So talk about Glenn. What kind of defense do you see with their corners or safeties?
They're not bad. They're pretty good. I think that I mean I'm always going to take our guys.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Do you see things you can exploit? You don't have to say them.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, you've as a receiver, we're always open.
Right.
So
So you played receiver.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Even when we're covered, we're open. So
Well, good. No, we're looking forward to the game on Friday, and yeah, I mean, we love watching these guys go down the field and going up for those 50-50 balls and
mhm,
bringing them down.
sure,
It's exciting,
yeah.
and we've seen the offense kind of open up. We've seen some
I was going to
passes in the
say
field,
that.
some things down the side, some things down the middle, and it's exciting to see that instead of just one or two kind of plays in a limited offense. It seems to be opening up.
Right.
And that's due to talent, right?
Sure. I mean,
Access to more players.
yeah, and when you have guys that can do those things, it makes it easier to
Sure.
call plays because you can just go, okay, I want to attack this area. They took it away. That's fine. We'll go over here. And
Well,
like
you can
we have,
drag across the middle. You got
yeah,
4
we
or
got
5 guys will
guys
go
that
right
can do
across.
anything we ask them to do, and they'll do it, which is they're not selfless. They're not selfish to, oh, I don't want to run across the middle,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yeah, that's the scariest part of being a receiver.
Yeah.
Right?
You got to put a lot of trust in somebody
That's right. Got to put that pass in the right spot.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, well, thanks for coming up. Appreciate it. Good luck this week.
Appreciate it.
But take it easy,
Thanks,
Coach.
Coach. Coach Beef and Coach Spencer, let's give them a hand. All right, now we got a couple seniors that we're going to bring up here. The first one, number 15, Peyton Gordon. Come on up. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to meet you.
Hear us all right?
Yep.
All right, good. So, what are you, an H-back, wing-back? What do they call you?
Mostly H-back,
H-back.
but I can play pretty much
I
everywhere.
mean, you've been in the backfield. You've been kind of at the H-back. You've been split out.
Yeah, wide receiver slot.
Yeah, I know you played tight end, running back. You play some defense.
Yep.
You got the big sack.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the big sack before we get into all this week in homecoming. So tight game. We got to stop them. Go through your mind, pre-play what happened, and what did you see?
So I was kind of talking with Joe Weiss. He's the other guy, the other end on prevent, and I was like, hey, let's rush them. Like, let's just not just contain. Like, we got to get a stop here.
Did they tell you to rush, or was that a call that you made out there?
We normally like we'll give them pressure, but our main job is to stay contained. And I was like, hey, like we need to stop them here. Like the quarterbacks, they're gonna pass. Like we know it's gonna be a pass. Let's get out the outside, blitz them, put pressure on them, and try to make a play. And the tackle on my side, he was really tired, and I could see that. And so I just gave him a quick move on the inside and went back out, and I beat him on the outside and was able to get to the quarterback. And it was just
What'd that feel like when you rounded that corner and you saw the straight path to glory?
it felt really good because I haven't gotten a sack in a while, and because sophomore year I played linebacker a lot, and I loved blitzing and going in and hitting the
Sure.
quarterback. So
Somebody's a lot better than getting hit.
yeah, for sure. That's why I lower my shoulder when I
Right.
I like to hit people.
Well,
So,
the H-back's a good position on offense to hit people.
yeah, so it was nice to just be able to run straight at the quarterback and hit him. So
Yeah, that was a big play, and of course we went crazy,
Yeah.
and everyone in the crowd went crazy on our side, and secured the win,
mhm.
and that was great. So moving on to this week.
Yeah.
You're a senior,
Yes, sir.
homecoming.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
It's crazy. Like it just doesn't feel real quite yet. That this is our last homecoming game, but it's good that it gets to be against Glenn because that's the fun. It's always a fun game. Last year, great game.
Yep.
We won first game of the season. It felt amazing, and we plan to do that again.
So talk about last night, the float,
Oh
the
yeah,
candy, the being on the field, all the athletes out there. Walk us through that.
yeah. So I actually got to ride with Coach Price in the Can-Am, and it was fun because it was we didn't.
Oh, so you weren't on the trailer.
No,
You were
yeah,
shotgun.
Kreitz and Salazar all got to ride in there, and it was nice. We got to lead the way for the football floats, and it was just nice seeing the whole community out there supporting us, and that's one of my favorite things of the year, just being able to see everybody through that neighborhood and just see the support they give us.
Yeah. So tough game last week.
Yep.
How do you get over it?
I think we just got to keep our heads going in the right direction. It's all about mindset at that point. We played a really good team in College Station. We had a lot of mistakes that we're fixing this week, and we just got to keep our heads up. I feel like that's something we had trouble with last year was we would lose and our heads would get down and we couldn't get them
Yeah.
back up. But us seniors are really trying to get everybody to keep their head up, forget about that game, work it out, and just go play the next game that we got.
Well, you're looking at 2 or 3, maybe 4 plays in that first half, and Leander goes into halftime ahead of
Yeah.
College Station.
Yeah.
So, and that obviously would do great things for your team momentum, confidence, and stuff. And so, really looking at that game, you should still be able to gain a lot of confidence if you watch on film, especially that first half. Defensively, specifically, the team played great.
Oh yeah,
So
the defense looked amazing. They looked like the defense that I knew we were able to have this year. And just because since middle school, this our group, we've always been super physical and super great on the defense side of the ball. And I just knew that this year, once we were gonna all be starting, that it was gonna be really good.
So let's talk about Glenn.
Yeah,
You know a lot of players over there.
yeah,
They know a lot of players over here. Has there been any trash talking so far this week?
definitely been some trash talking. We've had a couple encounters with the trash talking, and they're a little bit of some
are they like
just a
social
little
media posts,
kind of, yeah.
things you
Just
could
being,
put on the
yeah,
locker room?
just being a little cocky over there on their side, saying that we're gonna lose 45-0 and
Oh wow.
all that stuff. So we just got to play our game, and that'll shut them right up.
Well, they're coming off a win. The Lions are coming off a loss,
Yeah.
so that they may be a little overconfident. Not that I think that it's going to make a difference either way,
Yeah.
because I think football is a game of matchups. Familiarity goes a long way in those matchups. It's guys you played against over the years. I think the Lions have should be confident going into Friday night.
Definitely, definitely.
So, and I know I talked to Max last week, and I'm talking this into you. I've known you since you were little.
Yep.
You played. Hold on, let's let the fire truck go by. May have been the one that was with us last night. Um, baseball, basketball, football. I know you were out hitting the golf ball,
Yep.
and you do all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And it's great to see you grow up. It's great to see you play all these sports, and you excel at all of them.
Yep.
And I'm proud to say you become a great young man.
Thank you.
And just it's been great watching you grow and develop. And this is your senior year. And I know my dad told me when he was alive, um, it's going to go by before you know it.
Mhm.
And football season, although it just started, it's going to be over soon.
Right.
Yep.
And then I know you play baseball,
Yep.
and you'll be jumping into that. But just talk about the two sports.
Yeah, I think it's great that we have guys on the football team that also play baseball because we get to have that moment for football and that teamwork that we have to put in for football. And then we go to baseball, it's that same thing. We gotta build that trust in each other and the confidence that we can give each other. And I don't know, being growing up playing both sports, I don't know, baseball, I love baseball. I've been playing since I was like 3 or 4 years old, and same with football. I've been playing it forever, and it's just it's just kind of my life. I couldn't imagine it
Well,
without it.
football is one of those sports that at some point in your young adult life, you're going to get up to a point where you can't really physically play and not hurt yourself.
Yeah.
But baseball, you can keep playing that even in the form of softball well into your, later life.
Yep.
Golf is another one that you
Yeah.
could keep playing.
I actually I tried out for the golf team recently, and I got word that I'm going to be playing in a tournament soon. So
Nice.
Nice.
Congratulations.
that'll be fun, and it's a JV and varsity combined tournament, so
Cool.
there'll be a lot of competition, and it'll be fun to play in.
Well, good.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite class so far, senior year?
I'm a big math guy, so statistics is a lot of numbers and words and
Yes,
stuff
it
like
is.
that. I'm also taking earth-based science. I love science
Okay.
too. Math and science are my two favorite subjects. So
Well, statistics and science go hand in
yep.
hand. Are you looking at that as a college career, a
So
research scientist, something?
I'm actually going into the surveying industry.
Oh, okay.
Me and Gavin are going to UT Tyler together. That's the plan so far. If we
Mhm.
don't get anything for sports and stuff, going there and this company that my stepdad works for, they have a program up at UT Tyler, and
Kind of an
uh,
apprenticeship.
yeah, so I'll be working with their company
Mhm.
part time during college, and they'll be paying for my college, and then
Nice. You
I'll be
really can't beat getting
Yeah.
your
yeah, and
college
then
paid for
I'll
by a
have a
company that's also paying you a
oh
salary.
yeah, for sure. And then I'll be able to I'll have a job opportunity after I get my license and
Oh,
everything.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, you got
There's
anything else?
well, I was just going to say there's plenty of need for surveyors in this
Oh yeah.
area. I mean, as it continues to grow,
Yep.
and they develop that undeveloped land.
Yep.
So, yeah. I always recommend that when we talk to a player and they indicate that they're going to be doing something outside of sports, I always encourage them to find that niche in the local area, whether it's coaching youth football, helping out at the high school, doing podcasts,
Yeah.
announcer, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So it's good talking to
Yeah.
you.
Good talking to you too.
Hey, good luck this Friday.
Thank you.
We got one more.
All right, Peyton Gordon, give a big hand.
What do you got?
Next coming up, number 4, linebacker Tony Claire. Come on up. All right, thanks for joining us.
There we go. All right.
So, what's the best part about being a linebacker? I think we know the answer.
Hitting people.
There you go.
It is.
That and the lineman taking the blocks so that
Mhm.
you can hit people.
Right.
You got any favorite linemen that line up in front of you?
I mean, it's always fun having Daniel Cedillo in front of you. He always just plows through people and makes my job a little easier.
He's got a motor on him.
Oh yeah.
He wears a good number.
Mhm.
That was my number.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, we've called your name quite a lot this
Yeah.
year. Making the tackles, getting in the backfield. What do you enjoy doing most? Sacking the quarterback, making a big hit, blitzing. What do you like?
I mean, there's a lot of things to linebacker, pass drops, fitting run gaps and everything. But nothing beats a really good just smack on a running back or tackle for loss. That's what I'm there for.
Yeah. So talk about practice. What do y'all do as linebackers? I mean, tell people outside out of here, what's the practice like as a linebacker?
Well, it's always a lot of working on, tackling because that's pretty much our primary role. And we just rep that over and over again. And then we also rep a lot of just reading our guards, reading our keys because uh, that really determines where you get to in a play, where the guards go. So we just keep focused on reading that, getting to our spots all the time, and flying around, being fast, not being lazy, all that.
Now, how long have you played football in your life?
I started probably second grade.
So you've been playing for a long time.
Right,
And tackling has kind of evolved
right.
in the last few years, even.
Mhm.
How difficult is it to transition from, the old style of putting your head across the running back's body to kind of putting it on the backside and still making that tackle because a lot of running backs don't run through your arms like they
Right.
would some other player.
Yeah. It's definitely been a little bit of a transition, but we have some good coaches here who help us practice that and help us learn all the techniques that we need to, and practicing that every day really helps us get better at that.
So let's talk about homecoming. We talked about Peyton. This is your senior year.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about now? I mean, right now I'm a
This-
senior. This is my final year of football.
I mean,
At least at Leander.
yeah, I mean, I've been coming to this homecoming game for years now, and now to be, the senior that I looked up to when I was my freshman year is just kind of crazy to think about. And all I'm really thinking about now is playing that game. It's senior year, just gonna leave it all out there.
Yeah, you have to.
Hmm.
And like I talked about earlier, I mean, it'll go by like that.
Right.
You got to enjoy every minute and just leave it out on the field, like you said.
Yep.
So, Glenn, just down the street.
Yep. Yep.
You know some of the players you've
Oh,
been
yeah.
here for. I
Yeah.
mean, so talk about that. What's the discussion?
Well, I went to middle school with a lot of those players, so kind of getting to hear from a lot of them saying, we're ready to play on all that. It's kind of fun. It also adds a whole, another level of trash talk to it, but that's kind of part of the fun of it, getting to play against the guys that we know, and it's going to be a really fun game.
Yeah.
Anybody there scare you?
We'll see. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean,
I thought you were going to say no.
So talk about the parade last night. Did you have a good time?
yeah, it was super fun. I was riding in one of the Jeeps, since, on the court, but it was pretty fun. Yeah. I think it was, with it being senior year and everything, there's just a little different perspective of it because, obviously this is our last time being a part of that. So you know.
So what are you looking at doing after high school?
Well, I'm looking at going to college to do something in the business world. My dad runs a business, so we'll see if I can hopefully be a part of that. We'll see what
You,
takes place.
you got a school in mind?
Hopefully Texas A&M. But I've also applied to a couple other ones, Texas State, Baylor, Texas Tech, all of those. I want to stay in Texas though. That's kind of my goal.
Do you want to do any sports or anything at a collegiate level?
I'm still kind of undecided there. It really depends how the season goes. I mean, so far I'm loving it. So it's kind of a big decision I'll have to end up making here pretty
So
soon.
would you consider a scholarship if one was offered?
Oh, most definitely. Mhm.
Well, that's great. So what are you going to do after you do anything in the spring? Any other sport?
Football's my only thing. Mhm.
Gosh, it's coming up fast.
Yeah.
Coming up fast. No, that's great. So enjoy it. Appreciate you coming up, and good luck this Friday.
Thank you.
Have a
I
great
appreciate it.
time.
Go Lions.
Go Lions.
So we want to thank Peyton Gordon, Tony Claire for coming up, being those seniors. We want to thank Guaco Taco one last time for having us here tonight. Give them a big hand, guys. We want to thank our platinum sponsors one more time, 5-Star Civil Construction, Funk.com, Plains Capital Bank, and Right Fit Admissions Consulting. Big game this Friday at home against the Glen Grizzlies. Join us on SHN Sports. For Chuck Crazy, I'm Mark Sickles. Thanks for tuning into the Coaches Show. We'll see you Friday night. Good night.